Hi, you guys. Hey. I'm back. And I wanted to quick talk to you guys about the benefits of writing. And many of you know I write a lot. And that is not a bad thing, baby. I write. I am definitely a writer. But you don't have to be a writer to enjoy the benefits of writing. And I know you might think, well, benefits of writing to me. Anybody got time to be doing all that writing? Honey, journaling is writing. Okay. Okay. There are lots of benefits to writing. And one of the first benefits of writing is that writing relieves stress. You get everything that's up here out. What's going on inside here, you get it out. It is such a great outlet for relieving stress and all of the emotional baggage and things that happen to us in life. And so writing relieves stress. And again, I don't care if it's in a work of fiction, in your journal, you write it out to share some success tips of how you overcame your stress or whatever your situation was. You write your autobiography, whatever it is. Writing relieves stress. I don't care what anybody tells you, it does. Now, I will say this because I saw this recently on Twitter and it really bothered me. And it's so disappointing. This young lady talked about how she can't write in her journal the same way as an adult that she did when she was a child because she was violated. Her parents read her journal and confronted her about what she wrote in her journal. And so to this day, as an adult, she will write, but then she will go and edit out her journal stuff just in case somebody read it and confronted her with it. Listen to me, parents especially. That is a safe space. And I'm saying this to anybody. Your journal should be your safe space. If if no other place, that's where you're going to be. If you feel like there's something, I would rather you just talk to your kids and say, hey, you feel a little distant. Is everything okay? Just sit down and talk regularly with your kids, but don't violate the sacred space of a journal. Because you wouldn't want anyone to read what's in your journal. Even if you don't journal now, there may come a point in time in life where you need a journal. Whether you write journal, people do video journals. I do video journals too. So I write in my journal, but I also have a video journal. It's just whatever I feel like. And that is my safe space to let out what's going on in here. And I that should not be violated. So writing is a space where you can create this world where you can be free. And that's how you release stress. Okay. That is the first benefit of writing. The second benefit of writing goes along with the first one is that it is so freeing and liberating to write because it's a judgment-free zone. Nobody's judging you, not unless you publish. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. But it's so freeing because when you start writing, you start letting all of that stuff out. It's like you feel this weight lift from you. And so I want to encourage you to write because it's also, first of all, it relieves stress. But second of all, it's very freeing. It's very liberating, especially if you write creatively, if you do fiction or poetry or whatever. That's how you just come out of your shell and just be you. And I'm not saying that you can't be you any other time, but you can really, really be you when you write and it's an opportunity, it's an outlet. Writing is an outlet. And I know sometimes that it may not feel that way. And we live in a really big judgmental time where everybody's judging everything. But trust me, it is so liberating to be able to get what's in here out. And the last benefit of writing is for self-reflection. I often go back and read journals. I just unearthed some journals from years ago and I'm reading and it's just like, oh my God. I am so not that person. I have so grown and I'm grateful for the growth. You know what I mean? And so it's self reflection because you get to see how far you've come. You see your growth, you see where you've come from. And I've been saying this all month and for in my Black History videos and posts. How can you grow from the past if you don't know what's in your past? Journaling helps you keep track of your own personal past and how you're going, your journey, your life's journey, and the things that you grow from and you've grown through and that make you who you are today. And it also helps shape things and put things in perspective because now it's like, oh, that's why I'm the way I am. Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, and so now is some reflecting happening there. And it opens up the mind to all kinds of opportunities and things that you may have never thought about, content that you can share with other people. So those are some benefits of writing. I am a writer. Like I said, I'm a full-on writer. I can sit and write books and just knock them out in no time. This is my first published book. Hi behind it. Get into it. This is my baby. This was my doctoral thesis. This is my project. When I turned this in, my goal was I didn't want to have to do any edits. I just wanted this to be ready to go. And that's exactly what happened. When I turned it in, when I got the feedback back from my my project chair, and it was peer reviewed, and the feedback I got was this is ready to publish. It was the best thing ever. But I cranked this out in pretty much no time. But yeah, this is my baby, and pretty much this is my homage to mentoring. I am so passionate about mentoring that it's just not even funny, which is why, of course, I'm a coach. But this it just, to me, this was a passion project because I had really bad mentoring experiences and I just didn't want anybody else to have those experiences, so I wanted to give people something that they can navigate through, and particularly those of us in the Christian faith, to be able to have some biblical principles and truths to help guide us and figure out where we are in a mentoring relationship. I based this off of some work that Kathy Cram did way back in the day and just really kind of expanded on it and came up with this pillars model. And so this does break down the different phases of the mentoring relationship. Again, like I said, I based this off of some work that Kathy Cram did back in 1983 is when she did work on and really she did the definitive work on framing mentoring and just the different relationships, and hers started with this. I don't know if you guys can see that. So that's how Kathy Cram, that was her model, okay, for that. And that was my jumping point. And for me, I created the pillars again based off of that and really expounding on how we can really define ourselves and see where we are in the mentoring relationship. So the pillars actually stands for all of the different basically stages of the mentoring relationship that I identified, and I model it after a parent-child relationship. So if you really want to know about mentoring, you want to get this book, it's on Amazon. You can get on my website. If you order on my website, I personally autograph all of my books. But one of the things I really talk about in here is, you do not, first of all, let me say this real quick. You don't have to be a Christian for this to work. Mentoring is mentoring. Okay. Mentoring is mentoring. And one of the things is you need to be able to identify, one, how to find the right mentor. Mentoring is not just about the mentor. So I have a whole chapter in here dedicated to not just the mentor, but also the protege. And there's a reason I use the term protege and not mentee. I break down the definition between the two and really kind of give you an idea and understanding why I use the term protege and not mentee. So just as an FYI, but I do have a glossary of terms in here. Yeah, it is that serious. So I do have a glossary of terms in here, but you want to get this book if you are really serious about mentoring and understanding what's next, how to navigate that relationship, how to identify where you are in your mentoring relationship. But first of all, what are your what do I like to say it? What's your rights as someone looking for a mentor? A lot of times some people don't feel like they have any rights. I just kind of just got to go with whoever comes my way and whoever wants to give me an opportunity. No, you have rights. And I want to show you guys that I really do feel like you know proteges and people kind of feel like they don't have a say in the relationship or anything like that. That is not true. You absolutely have your say, and you should. Like, you need to know how to identify a mentor. This is your chapter right here, choosing a mentor. This is so huge and important to me because I did not have this. If I knew then what I know now, my God, I probably would not have chosen or would not have allowed other people to assign certain people to me as a mentor. I'm going to be honest with you, just straight up. I wouldn't. So that's how important this book was. It's a passion project for me, again, because I just had just awful experiences with mentors, and I just that's why I wrote this book. That's why I chose it as my project, because it's not the definitive work on it, but it is a model. It's been brewing in me to create a workbook to go along with this. And so I'm thinking of what that actually looks like. But stay tuned, follow me, and you'll kind of probably see that workbook come along, if not this year, next year. This book has been out since 2014 when I graduated. This published in October 2014, I believe. And so this is my first book, and I dedicated this to every person seeking to improve their life and to those who feel neglected, forgotten, and overlooked. If that's you, this book is for you. I have another book also that came from this, Pillars for Public Service. Listen to me. If you are in public service, and there are a lot of you out there that are in public service, this book, this was definitely a passion project for me as well. My mom, I know a lot of people who have served in public service for a long, long, long time. And I was just blessed that my mom wrote the foreword of this book for me. And I wasn't sure she was going to say yes when I asked her to, but she did. And I have absolutely the best mother on earth. So shout out to my mom, Dr. McCrae. My mom is a doctor, by the way. But Pillars for Public Servants. Listen, this my mom has spent a lot of time in public service, and again, my sister's in public service. I know a lot of people who serve in public service, and this book is for you if you serve in public service. What is public service? You work for a government agency, whether it's at the federal, state, or local level. If you're into politics, this is for you. I don't just take this from a perspective of being in politics here in the US, but, I use examples from all over the world in this book, okay? Because at the end of the day, if you are in leadership and public policy, you need to be properly mentored. Okay. One of the things that's so funny, when I sent this book to a radio show for an interview, the guy who interviewed me, he said, wow, this is the cure for questionable leadership. And it really is. I feel the same way about Pillars, because if you don't have the right mentor, you can kind of get steered in the wrong direction. I actually share an example of how someone who's the protege became the mentor of the person who was mentoring them initially, because the mentor fell off and started going in the wrong direction. And that is not uncommon or unheard of when it comes to politics or anyone in public service. Life happens. Things will derail you and get you off into different directions. And so I just that book is available as well. It's also on my website. And so just different stuff, but I wanted to shout that out. When I say I can crank out a book in no time, I can crank out a book in no time. And this book right here, I cranked out in 2 days, maybe 3, if that. It's not a big book. So all my books are not like 300 pages. Oh, don't do that. I know people are like, oh, she write 200-page books. I don't do that. This book is really small. It's just maybe 100 pages. And this is if the to me, this is my definitive work on leadership. If you want to be a leader, you need to be an A+ leader. This is it right here. Dr. Blanche Wallace, love her. Shout out to her. She is the creator of something that's called, she has a coaching model. I just love it. She's amazing. Based off of emotional intelligence. It's called C3, I believe, coaching. But anyway, she did my forward. Awesome woman. And yeah, this is my definitive work on what it is to be an A+ leader. And basically an A+ leader is the cure to questionable leadership. And that starts with you having the right kind of mentor, period, point blank. This book came out of this book. And so many other books came out of this book, but this book came out of that first book. And so sometimes the benefits of writing is, sometimes it just keeps spiraling and you get more ideas and more ideas and more ideas and more ideas. And it just keeps going. And it's fantastic stuff. It really is good stuff. But yeah, the cure to questionable leadership, this one right here. It's real simple. It's very practical. I define A+ leadership. I use a hashtag, A+ leader, A+ leadership, A+ living, A+ gold standard. This is it right here. If you want to know what this is about, again, on my website. But basically, as it relates to what it is and what I mean by the A+ gold standard, I have a hospitality background, if you don't know, but I'm telling you now. And there is something that we use as a model, like 5-star hotels. And I kind of get into it talking about like the Ritz Carlton, and how at a certain point they were like the Ritz Carlton is like the gold standard of hospitality. At one point it was like the gold standard in how you bring about excellence in what you do. And I kind of modeled the A+ leader after that, and I do talk about that in my book, about how and why the A+ leader is the gold standard of leadership, because at the end of the day, it is. And like I said, I go through different things like the 3 C's of mentoring, and that means you need to be coachable. If you're not coachable, you can just, mentoring is not going to work. Provide counseling and know how to correct behavior. And so I go through a lot of things here. This book is for you if you want to know how to be the gold standard of leadership. And I do mean the gold standard of leadership. You want this book right here. Just saying. This is the gold standard of leadership. It's really practical. I don't write just that kind of stuff. I do write. This is kind of probably one of my go-to outlets. I still write poetry, not as often as I did. Most of the poems in this book I wrote in high school. I wrote most of these poems in high school for a high school project at Garinger High School, senior high school in Charlotte, North Carolina. I think it's a magnet school now, but when I went, it was not. But I was in a pilot program for my AP English course with Mrs. Sessions. Shout out to her. And I very much was into Renaissance, a Black Renaissance, Harlem Renaissance. Langston Hughes, one of my favorite all-time poets, but I love poetry. And so, of course, you had to write a paper, but you actually had to do the project. So I did a poetry book. And so they have a copy of this, but it doesn't look like this. It looks like this god-awful blue paper for the cover. And I do have that in here somewhere. My mom still has her copy. My sister still has her copy. And we gave a copy to the library. I hope it's still in there somewhere. I don't know. But most of the poems in this book I wrote in high school, and it was a great outlet for me. And poetry has always been an outlet, a creative outlet for me. So again, some of these, most of these were written in high school, but then some of these were written, in college and in my adult life. But that is the outlet. So again, when I say it's so freeing, it's liberating, the benefits of writing. You don't have to be a professional writer or a published author to be a writer. Writing is so liberating. I'm telling you, it relieves stress. It will make you feel so free and release all that, and like you're floating sometimes. Because I know sometimes I sit here and I can crank out 10,000 words a day on a NaNoWriMo project and be like, bam, and I'm gonna talk about my next one coming up in a minute. But yeah, and again, even in seeing some of my writing, it's like I look at stuff that I wrote when I first started grad school up to this point. I'm just like, what was I thinking? Like, who wrote that? Because that was awful. And I look at my first year in grad school up to when I graduated, I just like, and I look at it now, I'm like, what was I thinking? It was awful. And so another thing that again, out of that one book came this book. And guess what came out of that? Bam, a devotional. I got 3 of these babies. And when I say I got 3, here is volumes 2 and 3. And this is volume 1. So I have 3 devotionals that came out of this book, that came out of this book. So again, you just don't know where life will take you. Right? Writing has so many different benefits, and each of these, let me just say this about these. Each of these devotionals are different. So the first one is One Layer at a Time. It just deals with self. And you have to understand, first of all, before you can be an A+ leader, you got to understand yourself. A lot of us are like onions. We got layers. Let's deal with one layer at a time. It's 10 minutes a day. Promise you, 10 minutes. And it walks you through my Plus program I created that came out of this book. That's why you got to get the books. And if you want a cluster of my books together, get in touch with me. I can give you a special like package pricing for if you want more than one of these books. I am happy to do that. But but Plus is actual a model that I created. It is in this book. And it is a process of how, and it is my coaching process as well, of how you define and discover some things within yourself. And I literally walk you through this devotional. I have a friend who bought the devotional, and she was like, it is really helpful because most devotionals, you kind of read it, they give you questions, but it don't really help you figure out how to work through the questions. My Plus model actually breaks down how to walk through the questions. So we start talking about one layer at a time, and I do have a preface. This one has like so many different ones, but like one of these is a new year, a new year. It's first time of the year, a new year, a new you. And this one is 100 pages, but it's 10 minutes of A+ living. You want to be, the last one in this book is on self-care. It's 1 page. That's the reading. Now, some of these are not 1 page, by the way, but I just want to kind of show you what this looks like. And yeah, I'm showing y'all my proof book, but it's all right. Y'all not going to die. This is what, just kind of want to give y'all an idea. This is what the devotional looks like when it comes to the exercise. That's what you're looking at. That's what Plus stands for. It's a purposeful pause, listen, understand, and serve. And you're basically, I'm literally walking you through how to plus your way to A+ living in 10 minutes. Okay. You don't want to rush it, but yeah, it's just, sometimes you don't know what questions to ask and how to unplug, how to peel back the layers. This is going to teach you how to peel back the layers. This one, people and me. How do I deal with folks? Let me tell you something. You want to be an A+ leader, you got to know how to deal with people. And that's not easy to do. Especially with, it's just not easy to do. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just going to be honest with you. This is also 100 pages. Again, I don't write everything ain't got to be big, but this is also 100 pages, but 10 minutes, still the same thing. But the last one, I think it's the last one in here. Hold on. I want to tell y'all it's the last one. It's not the last one. Yeah, the last one in here, the people's commentary. How do you deal with people when they always got something to say? So dealing with people and me. And but the very first one is don't give up on me just yet. And a lot of times you got to learn not to give up on yourself. So this second one really helps you, you know, after you peel back the layers of you, this is going to help you learn how to deal with people and me. And mostly it's my response to other people and their nonsense. And I'm talking about all kinds of people. The enemy of your enemy is not your friend, because they're not. Learning to minister to our humanness, because sometimes as Christians, believers, whatever your faith is, we get so religious, and it's like, okay, but you're a tripart being. There's still flesh. You're a human person. How do I minister to the human part of who I am so that I can learn to function with other people on earth? So, how to deal with true reconciliation, your circle of influence, dangle carrots, because people will absolutely use you. They will dangle carrots in front of you just to keep you on track. I got a friend right now that's dealing with that. And I'm going to send him that devotional, by the way. I love you. Escaping jealousy and envy. Beware of fickle people. So that's some of the things that you will deal with here if you want this devotional, People and Me. And my last one, I am showing y'all my pre-sales. By the way, these are my samples, so don't judge me. This one is Patience to Live and Lead. This is really for those of you who are in leadership and you really want to, or you're new to leadership. I'm going to send this to my sister, by the way. Patience to Live and Lead. Because especially if you're new to a leadership role. Now, if you know me long enough, you know, to me, leadership is not a position or a title. It's a function. It's a lifestyle. It's a reflection of your footprint and who you are as a person, your core values. But that doesn't mean it's easy to implement those core values and who you are as a person. And this devotion is going to help you to have patience to live and lead every single day of your life. So it opens up with, we're dealing with the voice of reason. That is the first devotional in this book. This is the shortest devotional of all of the three. This one is only like 75 pages. It's not that long. And the last devotional is patience. Literally, the last devotional is on patience. But you do need patience to live your life and lead. And that's not always easy to do. Sometimes I have one here that says, out of the dry places springs forth life. There's work that goes into being a leader. First of all, there's work that goes into leading yourself. And a lot of times we want to lead other people, but we don't properly lead ourselves. If you want to know how to do that, you need both of these books. You need this and at least volume 3 of my devotionals, because they're going to help you. They really are. I am thinking about doing a compilation of the devotionals, or redoing the devotionals with some workbooks, so that again, you can actually have something tangible and put it together and be able to write your journal. Because again, I'm a big fan of journaling, what it is writing. You don't have to be a professional published author to be a writer, because what does writing do? It relieves stress. It is freeing, and it's for self-reflection. 10 minutes to 8+ living. That's all it takes. These devotionals take 10 minutes of your time to really just reflect on who you are. And again, it is a creative outlet. It is definitely for me. And so this, y'all, is my latest book that is coming out in the spring. And I love the cover. Shout out to HP Music and Arts in the Virginia Beach, Tidewater, Chesapeake, Virginia area. These are amazing people. So very nice. I always deal with Apostle Aquila Hunter when I'm talking about this particular piece. Shout out to them. If you don't know, check them out. They have a store in Chesapeake Square Mall. So, this book is my first fiction book that I am publishing traditionally, meaning all my other books I self-published. I self-published. And I'm doing this one with HP Music and Arts. I'm excited about them. They were a referral to me. And I really liked the vibe of HP Music and Arts when I got to talk with Apostle Aquila Hunter myself. Very much a businesswoman, very strong, and they know what they're doing, and kind of like it. If you don't know, research them for yourself. That's all I can say. But this project, Bitter, Bruised, and Broken, I wrote this book in a week. When I say I'm a writer, but when I say, when you start writing, you get into a groove and a flow. Like I said, I told you guys, I wrote this book in like a couple of days. It's the truth. I really did write this book in like 2-3 days. It didn't take me long. It's only like 100 pages. This book here is like only 100 pages. This is the definitive book club book for me. I'm not saying for anybody else, but for me, this is definitely something different that I hadn't done. But when I heard the characters talking to me, I had to capture them. And they are amazing. And I can tell you, in talking with, my publisher, they're like, oh my God, I know so many people that are like this character right here. And I can see this person right here. And I can hear this person saying the same thing, such. This book will knock you off your feet. It is not a man bashing book, but it's a book that's meant to spark conversation around the whole concept of toxic Black women. Because at the end of the day, ladies, I love us. Sisters, I love us. But we have some toxic relationship behavior that we deal with, that we bring to the table in relationships. And it's not that, I'm saying that, oh, we're perfect or that all men are trash. They are not. We do know that there are some men that are trash. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of good Black men and people out there that really bring their A game to the table. I personally know several of them, but we always want to deal with the man, but we don't deal with ourselves. And if you are a woman that's repeating cycles, always dating the same kind of man, it's always this, it's always that. It's not the man, it's you. I know it's not popular. Y'all probably don't love me, but it's okay. It's you. It's not the man. It's you. You are the common denominator in all of it. So this book right here, you want to go ahead and get your pre-order in. All pre-orders will be autographed by yours truly. But when this book publishes, the price is going to go up to $25. So go ahead and get your pre-order on now, because I'm telling you, when we say spring release, I already talked to them about the date that I want this to come alive. And so when this book is in my hand, you ain't going to be able to tell me nothing, because that's how excited I am about this book. I'm excited about all of my books, but this one I'm really excited about because I can identify, especially myself, in one or two of the characters. And, until you start dealing with you're not really ready for relationships. I'm just going to be honest. We always, again, want to deal with everybody else, but we don't want to deal with us. You're going to see yourself probably somewhere up in this book. So just a little something, FYI, Bitter, Bruised, and Broken is just that, dealing with a lot of the bitterness, the pain, the brokenness that Black women experience either from their childhood or whatever, and it manifests as toxic behavior in future relationships. And it's not just relationships with men, like intimate relationships, but it spills over into friendships. And that's why you can't have healthy friendships. Shout out to Pastor Renee Roberts, Pastor LaShawn Brooks. They have Friendship 10. It's a camp that teaches you how to be a friend and have healthy friendships and relationships. They also have something coming up this weekend for the ladies. It's called, I can't think of it, She's Something, but yeah, get into it if you can, if you're here in the South Florida Broward area. But, you want to have stuff that, really start dealing with you and bring out what's in you. Therapy is not a bad thing. That is the other kind of premise of this book, is go to therapy, talk this stuff out to somebody. Therapy is not a curse word, but somehow in the African-American community, we have come to believe that therapy is a cuss word. It is not. It's not a bad thing. We need to be talking about what's going on in here. Where did it come from? For some of us, we have some childhood trauma that really has opened the door to the toxic behavior that we unleash in relationships. And we unleash it on our friends, we unleash it on our family members, and we don't take accountability for it. At the end of the day, we adults at this point. We can't keep using our childhood as an excuse. What we need to do is say, okay, let me learn from it, and how can I be a better person? Period. Point blank. The other thing is it might be not something you experienced directly, but maybe you were taught some things generationally. Like, this is how my mama thought, and this is how my grandma thought, and this is what they told me, and this is what her mama told her, and so on and so on and so forth. And that doesn't make it okay. Again, you're an adult. At this point, you can decide for yourself if this is the right thing for you to do and who you want to become. If you're perfectly happy with it, go head on with your bad, toxic self. But there's the rest of us, we don't want that. And so if if you find yourself full of drama, or you find that people don't really want to kind of gravitate to you, they gravitate away from you, the common denominator, it's not everybody else. So that's the talking point of this book. This book does have questions, sample questions in the back for book club. So if you have a book club, some people who want to start a book club, consider this book for your book club. You will not be disappointed. If you are local to my area, I'm happy to come and sit down with you and share with you my thoughts behind the book and kind of help facilitate some of the conversation and dialogue around the questions in the back of the book. This book is also for men, because you might find yourself dating some of these women and want to know why they are the way they are. Or again, men, you might be the common denominator. What is it about you that is attractive to this kind of woman? Because it's sometimes having that reverse conversation helps you a whole lot of way. Maybe you got some sisters, you know what I mean? You got some friends that you see in this book. Go ahead and help them out. You read it and go ahead and help them out. Pass that book along, buy the book, whatever. So it's not a man bashing book. It's nothing like that. But I just really this book is a passion project. I have one more that I'm circulating, but this one is definitely a book club book. It is a conversation piece on, for especially Black women. Now, I'm not saying that other women don't have issues and toxic behavior, because this applies to anybody, but I'm specifically dealing with the role that Black women play in toxic in relationships that they have, because it's not always the other person. I don't care if you're in an interracial relationship or not. As a Black woman, you bring some toxicity to the relationship sometime, or even to your girlfriends or your family members. Why? And the point of this book is to get to the root of why. Maybe it's some PTSD in your childhood, and that's what you need to deal with, but don't be afraid to go to therapy. So all of that to say there's a lot of benefits to writing. And this last book came out just because I'm a writer. But again, I write in journals, and sometimes just writing in my journals and just writing out ideas, I get ideas like that. And I can crank out a book in 3 weeks. I can crank out a book in no time, because it just happens. It just happens. You just get into a flow. For those of you who want to pursue a writing career, I want to encourage you to not be afraid to write that book. Do not be concerned about the formatting. That's what editors are for. Get it from here onto the paper, whether you write it out old school style. I don't recommend that, but okay. Or you get you a laptop and type it out, like the rest of us do. If you have a problem typing slow, there's dictation software. You can speak into it and it'll type for you. There's all kinds of ways to become a writer. There's all kinds of tips and tools and tricks of the trade out there. But if you are serious about writing a book, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, a devotional, a comic book, a picture book for children, whatever it is that you want to write the book. The other thing is, don't sit on the book. Don't sit on the book. Do something with it. Launch out into the deep. Let me tell you something. It's not easy publishing your work, because people will absolutely judge your work. Everybody's not going to agree with it. They're going to question your credentials, all of that. You got to know for yourself that, what you got is gold and gospel. I'm at the point in my life, I don't prove nothing to nobody. The editor, you can ask her. She's on Facebook. She's read, and she's just like, you write very well. And, so you have some good things. I have a question. Warrens, do you have any leads on certain companies who pay for short stories? I am going to give you guys a recommendation for Writer's Digest. For me, it's the definitive source for all things writing. Writer's Digest has been around forever. And what I like about them is they screen They do their due diligence and they screen. They have a lot of resources. They also have a whole site dedicated to competitions, writing competitions. And there are a lot of them that are dedicated to short stories. And so you can look up writing competitions for short stories and pitch to them and write and submit your short story. You never know where it's going to take you, but look up Writer's Digest. That is a perfect, I'm telling you, if you want to be a writer, everything possible resource that you can find on writing is on Writer's Digest. It don't even matter if you're writing poetry, if you're writing a children's book, a comic book, a fiction, nonfiction. And when it comes to fiction, there's so many genres. You're talking about sci-fi, fantasy, world of wizardry, whatever. YA is young adults. I'm telling you, they got everybody, just about every resource out there. I just sent somebody I talked to the other day. He's writing his first book and he's using a ghostwriter. That is another thing. Y'all out here thinking TD Jakes and all these other people writing books for themselves. Some of them do, but they ain't got that kind of time. They're using ghostwriters. So if you have a book in your head and you're not that good of a writer, okay, you know, you struggle in some areas, get you a ghostwriter. Y'all think a lot of these people that's on the New York Times #1 bestseller writing books, all of them are not writing books. Some of them are, but a lot ghostwriters. Why? Them folks ain't got time to write no books. You think Michelle Obama had time to sit here and write some 200, 300 word book? No, ghostwriter. Did she have it? Absolutely. A ghostwriter. They can't write if it ain't your concept. Then you still got to give them the outline and all the information, but they bring your project to life. It's still yours. It's still yours. You just got somebody to help. It's no different than you writing it and an editor, and you get a content editor and they tell you all of this is trash because it ain't going to speak to your audience. Let me help you rework this. And yes, there are different types of editors. There's content editors, and then there are editors that just edit for grammar and writing and that kind of stuff. For those of you looking for a publisher and they tell you they include editing, you need to specifically ask what kind of editing. Are you providing content editing? Because most of the time it does not include content editing. What is content editing? Literally editing your book for your audience to make sure it's in the right voice and that you're going to speak to your audience correctly and that it makes sense. A good content editor will run you a minimum $5,000. Usually, if you want somebody worth half a piece. You find somebody talking about they're going to content edit for $1,500. I'm telling you right now, you better run. $1,500 to $2,000 is what you will pay somebody to just regular edit for grammar, writing error, stylistic, formatting. That's the price for that. I'm not just telling you just some random stuff. I'm telling you what I know. I've been there. I know some folks that spent that money. I'm telling you what I know. Okay. So that's the deal with writing. First of all, write the book. If it's in you, write the book. Get it out. If you don't have the time to write the book, consider getting a ghostwriter. Real talk. There is no shame in that. It is still your work. A lot of people make a living as freelance ghostwriters. If you are on Twitter, you need to join the writing community, #writing community. There are, just so many ghostwriters and freelancers out there. And they don't care about the notoriety. They write because they enjoy writing. They're bringing projects to life. And guess what they do? They still get paid. They want their check cut. It don't matter. So, yes, Warrens, making sense is absolutely the key. One of my friends from high school, she was editing a project and she called me, she said, do you know about math? What kind of math is you talking about? And she told me, I said, girl, I don't even know what that means. She said, I'm trying to edit this book for this guy. And he hired her to also do the audio version. But she couldn't figure out how to translate it to regular everyday language that a regular person that he was writing it for could understand, because everything was in technical language. A good content editor, that's what they do. And that's why they cost so much money. Because a lot of people, again, you're a mathematician, but you're trying to write a book to everyday people that don't know nothing about what you're talking about. That's why folks get paid the big money to be a content editor. Costs money to help folks out. So yeah, your book needs to make sense, but sometimes it just pays off to just get a ghostwriter. It's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. I talked to a gentleman just recently. He's working with one of the #1 ghostwriters in this country. This guy can guarantee a #1 bestseller because he's literally had, when I say thousands of #1 bestsellers, thousands. And the ghostwriter he's working with works with celebrities. This guy is like primo. And so there's nothing wrong with getting a ghostwriter. If you need to get a ghostwriter, get somebody to ghostwrite for you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what a lot of people do. I don't use ghostwriters because the way I write either what I see or what I hear. I'm just creative. I'm what's called a scribe. I write. I write. And for me, writing, I get a lot of joy and pleasure in writing. For me, it is a release. It is a stress reliever. It is freeing. It is all those things. And I like to look back at my writing to see how far I've come and how my writing is improved. And one of the things I'm working on is tightening my writing, which is a strong recommendation I got. I got an incredible compliment about my writing from somebody some years ago. And I'm just really going hard in the paint to chase after that, to make sure that it's just right at that level. So for me, I love writing, and it really is. But I love to see how my writing helps and affects other people, because if it's going to help somebody be better or at least try something that they've never tried before, then it's been all worth it. And so, hey, I've got people who use my books as resources. I have people who use my book as manuals, and that's an honor to me. So I genuinely love writing. There are people who don't enjoy writing, but you have a book, you have information that you need to share with other people. Get a ghostwriter. Get a ghostwriter. I'm serious. Get a ghostwriter. There's no shame in that. I can't say that enough. Get a ghostwriter, because that's what a lot of them out there doing. There are some people who got some #1 bestsellers that cannot functionally read or write at a 5th grade level, but they have books on the New York Times bestseller list because they didn't write the book. They got a ghostwriter to do it. So that's what I'm telling you. Don't let, your fear of, oh, I don't have a good handle on the language or none of that. That'll get you a ghostwriter and you'll be fine. And so vet the prices. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. It probably is. And so, again, Writer's Digest is your friend. You can find a whole lot of blogs and information on like industry norms, different stuff like that. Even literary agents, lit agents. These are people who help get your book out there, published traditionally, but also circulation and get you out there. Literary agents, if you want like movie deals and stuff for your books, you need an agent, seriously, because they help turn books into movie deals sometimes. So it helps having an agent. If you want to be a writer, seriously, you got to know the point of what you're writing. Some people just want to sit down and write, and that's fantastic for your journal. But when you're talking about writing for publication, you have to have a purpose for your writing. One, you got to know who you're writing it for. That's going to be born on, why am I writing this book? Those two go hand in hand. If you don't know why you're writing the book or who you're writing it to, don't even bother sitting down talking about writing a book for publication. Just going to get you a journal and just kind of journal your thoughts. Those two things will really help you figure out an outline for your book, because you need to have a flow to your book, especially those of you who want to write biographies. You got to know, you just really got to know some stuff about it. You know what I mean? You can't just sit down and start writing. The next thing you know, your book is all over the place. You got to have an outline, because nobody wants to read a schizophrenic book that's all over the place. It's got to be organized. And some of you want to self-publish. And let me talk about self-publishing real quick, and I'm going to round it out with this. Self-publishing requires you to have a good handle on the publishing process, but also the writing process. And if you want people to take your writing seriously, you need to have a good handle on writing. Basic composition, writing, grammar. If you don't, before you self-publish anything, find a way to get the money to get you somebody to edit that book. And most times, your book will need several edits before it's ready to be published. So you're out here talking about you want to publish a book in 3 months. It's going to look like it's 3 months, especially if you wrote it in 2 days and you haven't edited but once. And you're trying to hurry up and push it out, push it out, push it out. You got to be realistic about some stuff, especially again, if you don't have a good handle on writing and basic grammar. Sometimes your stuff needs 2, 3, and 4 edits before it's right. I would say this: be realistic about your deadlines, and be patient with yourself. I've had to push publishing deadlines myself back because it just wasn't right, and I was disappointed, but I would rather put something on the market that's a proper reflection of myself than to just have something out there that looks crazy, because people will absolutely judge you. I've seen some self-published stuff out there, and I just honestly don't take those people seriously. And every time they release something, I'm just like, girl, bye. So I'm just saying, the self-publishing world is good for some of you who want to get a good start, but it kind of saturates the market with a lot of stuff that it's like, can I take you seriously? And so that's kind of makes the publishing world a little muddy in some areas. So that's all I got. Those are the benefits of writing, and hope you guys got some great tips. Warren, thank you for interacting with me. I love you so much. Seriously, if you're interested in seriously becoming a writer beyond just journaling and getting your thoughts down, but you're seriously thinking about publishing, I do encourage you, check out Writer's Digest. Before you start trying to publish full-on books, why don't you enter some writing competitions? Because you get it's an opportunity to get some great feedback on your writing to see if you're there yet. And just because you're not there yet doesn't mean that you can't, sign up for some writing clinics. I challenge you, if you're serious about writing a book, you want to do NaNoWriMo. It is a month where it's dedicated to writing a whole novel in 30 days. And it's possible. I've done it myself. I wrote a 90,000 word novel in 30 days. And I can literally sat down one day and cranked out like 13,000 words. Some days I don't write anything. Just really depends. And your writing process is your writing process. No two are the same. But yeah, I don't blame you, Orange. I'll do the writings too. I will do the writings too. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm signing off. Those are the benefits of writing. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.